Hello guys, this is Naruto-kun and we are back with our new fanfic, which is What If Naruto and Ino Were Living in Same Apartment Part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and please subscribe to the channel. It motivates me to upload more fanfic like these for you all. Now let's start the fanfiction. Naruto looked around the house, trying to soak in its size and beauty, trying not to think about Sakura. He had been in a daimyo's mansion before, and this house and the daimyos were not that different. Of course, the daimyos had been larger, but it was understandable, daimyos held the money. As he neared the living room, he heard voices coming from the yard. Two women were having an argument. Curious, he peered at the origin of the voices and saw Ino and her mother. He could not make out what Ino was saying, but he was sure the situation was serious. Ino looked angry. He failed to notice that he had been caught up and was watching for a while. Naruto-sama, a small voice said. Naruto jumped 2 paces to his right. A young girl, maybe 12, with short hair and dressed in maid outfit smiled at him. It's rude to eavesdrop on people. I'm not eavesdropping, Naruto said. Don't try to deny it. You were observing them for a considerable amount of time. It was an accident. I was about to meet with Hana-san, and then I arrived on them like that. I didn't mean it. Oh, why didn't you leave? Okay, I know what you mean. I'll leave. I'm just asking. I'm not trying to make you leave. She smiled. I never thought that the notorious Naruto-sama was someone like you. I'm sorry if I'm not what you expected. You're not, but in a good way. You don't look bad at all. I mean, you're gorgeous. I didn't know that Team 7 is composed of hot guys. Sakura is a girl. Oku-sama told us that Naruto-sama was an obese, dirty, and disgusting pervert, very violent and ready to pounce on unsuspecting young girls when they had the bad luck of running into him. But now, the girl unabashedly stared, cheeks blushing. Now I think I'm a fan. Can I have a photo of you without a shirt on? Don't worry about them. They are not discussing about you or your team. They are arguing about food. So, do you have any? Was that drool on the side of her mouth? I don't think. Yeah, it's about food, Ino said, her arms crossed over her chest. Both Naruto and the young maid whipped their heads towards the voice. Ino and Hana had approached them without being noticed, and now were in the middle of melting them with their glower. Eavesdropping is rude, Naruto-kun, Hana said. Naruto turned red in embarrassment. Sorry. Hana turned to her daughter. Ino, you said that you wanted to talk with Naruto-kun, right? I never said anything like that. Let's go, Akko. I think these two need privacy. With a giggle, Hana dragged the young maid by the cheek. Now, Akko, I don't appreciate anyone bad-mouthing me behind my back. Sorry, Oba-chan, she mumbled. When they were out of sight, Naruto swallowed a lump in his throat. He did not know what to say. He cringed at the expression on Ino's face. Will Akko-chan be alright? My mom dotes on my cousin, so you don't have to worry. Your cousin, but she's dressed like a maid. One of her hobbies. Now back to you. Why didn't you even bother to visit me here? Ino said. I was always waiting for a visit from you. Naruto sighed. So it was not about his eavesdropping. You missed me that much. What are you saying? Don't be conceited. Naruto laughed, and then raised his hands to take hers. Seeing that she was not planning to resist, he took her soft fingers into his, keeping his touch innocent. I've missed you. They stared at each other for a while, sharing a conversation only the two of them could hear. In Naruto's eyes, Ino looked so charming despite of the dark bags beneath her eyes. Then why couldn't you manage even a short visit? She said. You were supposed to forget me, weren't you? I just thought seeing you was not a good idea. You just assumed that. She averted her face. I was just trying to help. Naruto shifted his eyes to their entwined hands. Her nails were cut short, accentuating the candle-like shapes of her fingers. He barely stopped himself from kissing her hand. You know how hard it is for me. It doesn't matter. I was expecting that I'd be someone special to you after everything that happened, that you'd treat me above all else. You've been special to me ever since the day I fell in love with you. Then show me, she said, pulling her hands away from his grasp. Naruto looked at her, bewildered. He then straightened and stepped closer so that their faces almost touched. He stood 2 inches over her, so she had to tilt her head to maintain eye contact. Assure me that you will have only me in your heart and I'll show you how much I love you. Ino kept her eyes on him, not faltering, but his intensity was too much. Tears overflowed from the corner of her eyes. Gritting her teeth, she shoved him into the hallway and slammed the door. Jerk. Ino, I can never love another girl. I've loved you for too long, I've already forgotten how to see another girl the way I see you. Like waves. Like waves that lapped on a single beach for the entirety of its existence. Naruto, please leave. I need to prepare dinner. He turned and walked away before he completely lost himself. He was sure that deep inside her heart, whom Ino loved was Sasuke. She was just reacting to his advances as any other girl would. He promised that it would be the last time he would express his feelings. Now that Sasuke was here, he would do his best to get them together. Man, I'm the worst, he said. The lake glittered with the orange light of the sunset, its mildly sulfuric scent carrying into the breeze to tickle Sakura's nose. She sat hugging her knees in the hollow of the maple tree behind her. Fireflies signified that the place was still undisturbed by humans and she was grateful for it. They hover around like stars on Earth, punching pleasant halos in the gathering shadows of dusk. She watched on as one firefly droned around with another one, dancing into the rhythm of courtship, squeezing her heart with heaviness. It's almost supper, Sasuke said behind her. Let's go back, Sakura. Where've you been? She asked. Was being escorted by my curiosity until I spotted you here. Want to be a poet or something? Sasuke sauntered and stood beside her. This place is beautiful. If I were given the chance to choose for a place of retirement, I would pick somewhere similar to this. Why not ask for Ino's hand then? You'd be living in comfort for the rest of your old life with the most beautiful girl in Konoha beside you. That's a good idea, but it's probably impossible now. You don't know that. The wind ruffled Sasuke's long hair. It seems that she's fallen in love with someone else, now for real. Sakura glanced at him balefully. She may be a bitch, but Ino's feelings for you were real. Don't judge my friend as if you know her. I apologize if I offended you. He sat down and brought out his pipe. Mind if I smoke? Go ahead. As if I can say something to stop you from killing yourself using a different method. Don't worry. This is ground kakarui, doctor prescribed. As if there's any difference. Sasuke lit up and blew an ample amount of smoke into the air. The last time you visited me was when I slit my wrist. I'm sorry for giving you such an awful memory. Does not matter. I don't care anymore. I promised myself that you could go to hell for all I care. I want you to know that I'm trying to live now. He paused and waited for her response, but she remained quiet. You know, I have a pretty good idea why you are so upset with me about that. Oh, pray tell, genius. It's also the reason why I haven't tried to kill myself again. It's the fear in Naruto's eyes. It's that same emotion that racked me when Itachi was dying in front of me. I realized that day how stupid I had been for neglecting the feelings of the person who cares for me the most. And what does it have to do with me? He looked at her. Who would forgive someone who could make the person she loved most suffer like that? Sakura's eyes widened. Then fresh tears welled up and fell from her eyes. Yeah, you're right. I love Naruto. I don't know when I began feeling this way. All I know is it's been here for a long time. I was just too egotistic to admit it to myself. He makes it hard for someone to see him other than that rash, stupid idiot he pretends to be. He's experienced too many rejections that he became so defensive by default. He's a big, fat liar. Lying to the villagers, lying to himself, lying to me. Clenching her jaws, She hit the trunk of the tree with her fist. Thankfully, she did not put chakra in that blow that could have demolished it altogether. I believed he had a crush on me. That jerk. You know, Sakura, he might have done that because he knew you had feelings for me. What? Honestly, I never thought that he lied. Naruto was genuinely happy when you noticed him. He just kept it to himself because he knew he was on for another beating if you realized. That guy worshipped you, but I guess he cared for you too much that he became afraid he might snatch away your happiness if he made a move on you. Then why the hell did he fall in love with Ino? She was not doing anything. I was with him every day, I talked with him the most. I was the first girl who entered his room, for goodness sakes. I cannot answer that, Sasuke said, taking a long drag from his pipe. The law of attraction is foreign to me. If I would have to make a guess, I'd say that he became attracted to her the way you became attracted to me. I was attracted to you because you were cool, but I can't justify how he would fall for Ino because she was cute. As far as I know, Naruto hasn't gone after looks. What did he find in Ino that he couldn't find in me? I think you know the answer to that. Think about it, Sakura. Ino was the quickest to insult Naruto and brand him a loser, but at the end of the day, she would acknowledge him if he did something great. I'm not sure who to blame, you or him, but the fact that you knew he had a crush on you made you defensive around him. Are you saying that I did not appreciate him enough? Yes. It was obvious that you wanted him to distance himself from you. You were unconsciously trying to tell him that he would not get far with you. Naruto's yearning for acknowledgement in those days was very strong. Ino gave that opportunity, and she became his ideal girl. Wishy-washy. You can't be that sure. Don't forget that he treated me like a brother, and I, in my own way, treated him that way, too. Among all that were close to me, I observed him the most. I can be wrong, but I feel certain that must be the case. He tapped his pipe to rid it of ashes and stood up. It's getting dark. Better to get moving. I tell them that you're here so they won't worry. Sasuke was back on the dirt path when she called out to him. Sasuke, what should I do? Tell him your feelings and show him how much you mean it. Sakura stayed for 10 minutes more before she decided to go back. At the table, no one spoke. Yamanaka Hana was sitting in the first chair at the left of the table. Ino and Sakura were seated beside her. Naruto and Sasuke were sitting across from them. 400 scented candles divided into 8 chandeliers illuminated the dining room in sepia, carrying the mild scent of peppermint. Naruto took short glimpses of the two girls whenever he could, while Sasuke ate his food in silence. Hana noticed the quiet atmosphere but decided not to break it. Yamanaka-jun hated the sight of food flying off everywhere when someone tried to hold a conversation at the table. The old woman was very particular about that. Unfortunately, she could not come home to grace them with her presence and demonstrate what she meant. The maid stood at the shadows, ready for any requests, led by Akko, who was wearing a rose-colored yukata. Do you like it? Hana asked when she could not contain it anymore. She knew that her mother-in-law had been through all the trouble to set up this situation, and she was not going to waste it. What do you say, Sakura? As if accidentally zapped by a mini thunderhead, Sakura jumped. Why yes. I like it. It's delicious. Hana watched her for a moment then sighed. When she turned to the two boys, all she got were perfunctory replies. It was no use. Whatever had happened, it had to be something serious to make them act this way. They seemed to be keeping something from each other, like trying to cover an affair. Her daughter had not said a single word since they started. And she had been pointedly ignoring Naruto for a reason. She had smiled at Sasuke though, albeit half-heartedly. Sakura, on the other hand, had given Naruto nothing except for a fleeting glance, and then her plate had taken all her attention. Want some watermelons for dessert? Ino glanced up at her. From the look on her face, Hana understood that there was nothing Ino would like to do more than go up to her room. I would like one, Sasuke said. Especially if we could eat it outside. Right, Naruto. Well, what were you saying? Naruto said. At that, Hana gave up. She might make it worse if she pushed it. She would wait until someone made a move. Smiling at Sasuke, she told him that she would be joining him on the balcony later. Naruto was welcome if he wanted some, too. As for the girls, she did not know. They might want to mull over whatever was on their mind by themselves. Such a shame Ino would not be sleeping with her tonight. Best to leave her alone while she was like that. The story she had promised to tell her about her assignment as Sasuke's nurse would have to wait until later. After eating watermelons with Sasuke and Hana, Naruto strolled out into the human-made forest at the back of the mansion. Overhanging oaks and hazel populated the area, casting large shadows on the ground. The moon was out tonight, taking a lot of the sky for itself. Though the stars tried their hardest, only the brightest got through. The breeze cooled Naruto's skin as he approached a low-hanging branch, slumping on it and looking up. Man, what have I put myself into? Good evening, Uzumaki-san, a deep, female voice said behind him. Naruto jumped down from the branch and whirled around. No need for hostilities. She was beautiful, albeit old. Standing straight with regal authority, the woman smiled at him. I am Yamanaka-jun. Naruto bowed his head. Sorry for my rudeness. Lady Jun chuckled. Please. We won't be able to talk if you keep bowing your head. Lady Jun took his hand and ushered him to a bench he hadn't noticed before. They sat side by side. My granddaughter told me all about it, and it seems that you made her confused. I did not mean to. In my household, I always hold order as the most important. I hate discord and chaos. As much as possible, I don't want that to change, but it will be hard with these random emotions floating around. I'm sorry, he said. Would you rather send me back to the village and ask for a substitute? If that were the answer, I'd rather send Ino away. Lady Jun was quiet for a long moment. I have a proposal. Do you want to hear it? Yes. If you had the power to go back to any point in time and do something, what would it be? I would prevent Ino from reading my stupid love letters. Ino was not sure when she had fallen asleep last night. She couldn't remember anything she had done that might have made her too tired to look at the clock. In any case, she felt good and found no reason to stay tucked in. She went to her desk, sat down in her chair, and pulled the first drawer. While her fingers were probing inside, she caught herself. Why was she doing it again? She furrowed her eyebrows, looking into the distance to recall, but she could not get her hands on it. When she shifted her attention back to the drawer, she found a note in her grandmother's hand saying, "Good morning, sweetheart." That made things more confusing. It was the first time her grandmother did something like that. She got the feeling that something was amiss. After cleaning herself, she headed for the dining room. She had to pass by the garden on her way down, and there she saw Naruto half naked under the morning sun. The sight of his body made her blush. She felt guilty when she began to slow her pace. What was she trying to do? But she had not had many chances to stare at naked young men with gorgeous bodies, and she was curious. Ino. Good morning. Naruto greeted, beaming. She looked up and found herself captivated by his smile. His bright face seemed to send electricity directly to her central nervous system. My God, what is wrong with me? Hi. She knew she was forcing it. Sorry. I've just finished my exercise. He took his jacket off the bench and put it on. It's all right. Ino willed her heart to calm down. Naruto walked to her with quiet confidence. Remembering back, this guy had been insecure and would always approach with his big stupid grin. Now he looked as if nothing mattered but her. She froze. His eyes were on her as if there was nothing else around. Am I imagining things, or he's this happy to see me? Before she embarrassed herself, she stepped back and nodded. See you at breakfast. Glancing up, she saw how his smile decreased in intensity. Rather than feeling relieved, That crestfallen expression on his face made her heartbeat wilder. Alright, see you. She could just watch as he turned and headed back to his room. Gently massaging her temple with the heel of her hand, Ino resumed walking. She was puzzled by her strange reaction to Naruto. She could not recall if she had been like this yesterday, or the day before, but one thing was for sure. It was not normal for her. As she turned around a corner, she bumped into someone. She caught the smell of grass and sunlight on the person's clothes. Before she could entirely forget herself, she pulled away and apologized. She groaned when she realized it was Sasuke. No problem, he said. The memory of how she had confessed to him in the rehabilitation center rushed back at her. She could feel her face getting hot. Sasuke was about to say something, but she cut him off by excusing herself. She did not look back. A smile tugged at her lips as she walked. He smells nice, she thought. Sasuke began to occupy her mind when a thought stopped her. Wasn't this the same feeling I felt when I saw Naruto earlier? She willed her mind to stop imagining things. It was impossible she would feel that way towards Naruto. Heaving a sigh, she postponed her trip to the dining room and went to sit on a tree stump in the yard. The mild morning sunlight warmed her skin and the air which smelled of grass tickled her nose. Now that she thought about it, maybe her stay at Naruto's place was finally affecting her. He had been hesitant at first, but when he accepted her request, he was so caring he would easily surpass her father's pampering. She could not help smiling when she remembered him fussing over her wounded finger. Of course, how would she forget the blue chocolates? It was no other than a symbol of how precious a girl was to a boy. It was expensive, hard to come by, and surrounded by superstition. Had Naruto not realized how special a gift those blue chocolates were? She giggled. She was sure he had not. That guy is hopelessly dense. She stayed for a minute more before stretching and heading back inside. She realized that she had thought of Naruto all that time, and not a single moment had Sasuke come to mind. Her grandmother, her mother, Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto had started breakfast without her. It was never a rule to be punctual, but she apologized for being late. Her mother was seated on the left of her grandmother. Beside her sat Sakura and Sasuke. Naruto was seated next to the chair reserved for her father. Seeing the arrangement of plates and utensils on the table, she was supposed to sit next to him. All of her efforts to regain composure were wasted to that single requirement. She could feel her face getting hot again. Hi, Naruto said. Hi, she said, trying hard to be casual. She was grateful her grandmother restricted conversations over food. After breakfast, she excused herself and went back to her room. She felt a great need to sort her feelings out if she wanted to last the day around Naruto. Ino was beginning to suspect that she was missing something important. A thought, a piece of information, a memory. But all these she brushed off in the end. She could not remember an incident where she had bumped her head. Grandma's note, seeing Naruto half naked, his intense focus on me, these are the cause of my strange behavior. She needed to let this day be and treat it as ordinary. No point in giving all that had happened a deeper meaning. She had to focus on Sasuke and Sasuke alone. Her mother had finally consented to her wish. It would be a waste if she did not take advantage of it. Sasuke had accepted the duty of patrolling the premises, insisting that it would help in his rehabilitation. Knowing this, Ino planned to accompany him on his daily rounds starting today. That would be a great opportunity for her to be alone with him and be closer. After changing to her kunoichi attire of purple blouse and skirt, she was just about to do that when she found Naruto cleaning his weapons at the mansion's outside passage. She approached him to prove to herself that what she had felt earlier was just a silly reaction from seeing him half naked. Hi, Naruto, she said. Naruto had spread his kunai, shuriken, and ninjutsu neatly on a white cloth. Right now, he was dabbing his ninjutsu's blade with stone powder using an Uchiko ball. Hi, Ino, he said, taking a quick, polite glance before resuming to his work. Sasuke has gone for his rounds if you're looking for him. I know. He's gone west. I'm not looking for him. Is that so? Naruto blew some excess powder off the blade. What can I do for you, then? Was it her pride or she just did not want to feel like she was a bother? She sat beside him so close their shoulders touch, her plan to find Sasuke forgotten for the meantime. Hey, that was dangerous. Naruto chided. Give me a kunai. Naruto frowned at her. What's gotten into you? Nothing. I just lost my appetite for going out. She could feel his eyes boring into her, trying to understand what her purpose was. She stared back, raising an eyebrow. Defeated, Naruto could only shake his head, passing over a kunai and a piece of cloth onto her. Be careful, he said. What if she wounded herself again? How would he react? No, it would be apparent she was pining for attention if she did that. I clean my weapons, too. It's not what I mean. Yeah, it sounds like it. He inspected his ninjutsu and grinned. You miss me, don't you? Those words made her heart skip a beat. She accidentally cut her finger as a result. Ouch. It was his fault, but she felt guilty just the same. Naruto dropped his ninjutsu without a second thought, grabbed her hand, and sucked at her wounded finger. She hissed upon contact, and right now, she was 100% sure her whole face was red. Naruto let go and pressed the cut with his thumb. He produced a small vial of iodine, a nail-sized strip of gauze, tape, and cotton from his kit. After a minute, he was holding her injured hand and apologizing. His touch, though invasive, was comforting. It seemed that he noticed he was holding her hand longer than necessary, so he placed it carefully on her lap. If you want to stay, keep your hands off my weapons, he said. After a beat, he followed up with, I'm sorry. They shared an awkward silence for a minute until she could not stand it anymore. She wanted to know, anyway, how she had grown uncertain around Naruto. Why did she look at him in a different light? Why did he affect her in ways she would never allow before? Say, do you know of some weird mind techniques which can erase memories? No. Why do you ask? I feel like, during my stay with you, I lost something. You did not lose anything. You even gained weight. She punched him. Asshole. Holding his injured cheek, Naruto took a glance at her and then laughed. I was kidding. You're still conscious about that, don't you? It had taken her 10 seconds to calm down. She needed to take back the initiative. She took a deep breath to start all over again, but when she turned back, she caught him staring at her. He seemed to be unprepared for that. First, he blushed, and then, to mask his embarrassment, he said, nice weather today, huh? Wait, just wait a minute. Was he crushing on her? She searched his face. It was apparent he had been staring at her, but was it evidence enough? Hey, Naruto, she began. Is it by chance? From the corner, carrying a tray of teacups and cookies, Sakura appeared. Naruto, I brought some snacks. Thanks, Sakura. Ino, good morning. I thought you were already out to join Sasuke with his rounds. Nope. I figured I was not in the mood for a long walk, Ino said with a strained smile. After setting the tray down, Sakura sat on Naruto's left. How will you lose all the flab you gained from staying at Naruto's place if you don't do as much? Was it playful banter or was she sensing hostility from her best friend? I wonder if you could join me one of these days. I mean, you have had a lot building over there, too. She tipped her chin to indicate Sakura's midsection. Haha, how funny. Naruto has been telling me lately how sexy I've become. Haha, so much for a consolation. I bet he was forced to say that to stop you from pigging out. I can easily cut right back to my weight overnight, unlike you, who needs to starve yourself to lose a few pounds. I do gain weight easily, but Naruto told me that he would never get tired looking at my face however long he stared. Guys, Naruto tried to speak. Yeah, well, Naruto told me that he would pick the sight of my face over a perfect view of sakura blossoms. Guys! Naruto yelled. Ino turned to Naruto and saw how red he was. Right then she realized how embarrassing their positions were. She and Sakura were leaning on his thighs. She hastily pulled away and pretended to fix the collar of her blouse. When she took a glance at Sakura, she caught the triumphant grin on her best friend's face. Ino knew that she did not have a place there, so she excused herself and decided to roam around the estate on her own. Sasuke should be far away by now, so trying to catch up would be pointless. Besides, it would be better if she was alone to sort out her thoughts. Sakura saying that Naruto would exchange a perfect view of sakura blossoms for the sight of her face had irritated her. She knew she did not have any reason to be, but it just came. Maybe it's because I don't like losing to her. She lost herself to her musings until she realized an hour had already passed. Ino. She turned to the direction of the voice. Oh, Sasuke, hi. Are you doing rounds on your own? No, not rounds. Just walking around. Been a while since I visited, after all. I see. He walked beside her. Your grandmother's land sure is expansive. Yeah, she owns 90% of Ida. And one day all of it will be yours. She was not sure if it was appropriate, but she still went for it. And my child's. Sasuke smiled at her, knowingly. Yes, she will be one lucky child. Did I ever tell you I wanted my firstborn to be a girl? Just a hunch. How about you? Would you prefer a daughter or a son as your firstborn? A daughter. She blushed, and in a tiny voice she said, "That's good to hear." They fell into idle chat, talking about irrelevant topics like crop rotation and housekeeping, weapon maintenance, ninjutsu techniques, until both of them ran out of things to say. Ino was disappointed with herself. Her mind had been someplace else during the conversation. She knew that Sasuke was a quiet person and would not offer to speak first, but she could not believe that she of all people would have difficulty coming up with something interesting to talk about with the boy she liked. She could just sigh as they walked side by side down the dirt path. Now she realized that she knew so little about Sasuke. She stuck to her plan of doing the rounds with him during the day. Sasuke had changed, and she could not compare him to the snob back in elementary school when a glare was the closest reward she would get from calling out to him. He was accommodating, and he answered anything she asked. When he was in the mood, he told her stories about his travels. She was glad to learn that he had not had any intimate relationships with any girl. According to him, Karen was only a comrade in arms. Their morning walks continued for a few more days. Ino and Sasuke had become closer in the process. She woke up one night to the realization that she couldn't look at Sasuke as more than a friend. Something had changed along the way. Her confession to Sasuke at the rehabilitation center was now like a distant past, faded and insignificant. I thought I was in love with Sasuke. But after I got closer to him, I realized he was more like a close relative than anything else. She got off of bed and wandered to the garden, knowing that sleep would elude her tonight. I'm glad I tried to know him better. As a result, I was able to know myself more. Hey. She looked up at the origin of the voice and found Sasuke. He sat down next to her on the bench. Hey, she replied. It seems you don't want to miss this beautiful night, too. Nope. Not something that romantic. I just can't sleep. Sasuke took his pipe out and smoked. Forgive me for asking, but is something the matter? Ino looked at her hands. Just some thoughts I can't stop brooding over. Say, Sasuke, I'll be blunt, but have you ever fallen in love? Sasuke was silent for a time, and then he said, I don't believe I have. Considering what I've become since I left Konoha, it'll probably take a long time before I remember how it feels. So, it's useless, even if I keep on loving you. You can keep telling yourself that you love me, but it will not change how you truly feel. Haha, sure, but you know what? You are undeniably good at reading people. She swung her feet from under the bench. I woke up one morning and decided that I needed to be closer to you. After my mom allowed me to choose, I thought that I wouldn't be able to look at her face if I failed to snatch my first pick. You've grown kind, you've grown mature, you're still the most handsome guy I've ever met. But something might have happened along the way because I cannot convince myself anymore that what I feel for you is still love. I'm happy that you've finally realized. In an impulse, Ino grabbed his hand, squeezed it, and shook her head. Her heart did not react so much. Her love, her infatuation, her obsession, whatever it was called, was gone. One last thing, she said and kissed Sasuke on the cheek. She was locking away this finished chapter of her life. Thank you for inspiring me. I hope we can be friends forever. Sasuke nodded in acknowledgement, blowing a stream of smoke which dispersed as the illusion Ino had let go. Ino woke up refreshed even though she had only slept for 4 hours. Her conversation with Sasuke, her goodbye, proved to be such a relief. Now she had one less problem to think about. She still went with Sasuke on his daily rounds, but the atmosphere around the two of them had changed. It was more relaxed. She could be her bitchy self whenever she pleased. She did not have to try too hard to impress him. She could laugh at herself when they talked about how silly she had been around him when they were younger. Sasuke, for his part, said what was on his mind without trying to sound polite. As a result, she enjoyed their outing better. See you at the mansion, she said when they reached a fork in the road. After a nod from Sasuke, they parted ways. She usually went with him until the end, but she had something in mind today. It had been a long time since she last visited the flowing spring, as she called it, because of the stream's warm water. She was planning to take a quick dip. She had found a secret spot that no people visited, and as it had been, it was empty today. The water was shallow, and she could see its bed of white pebbles. Low branching trees surrounded the area, adding to the sense of security and seclusion of the place. Two boulders facing the west produced a shade. She usually left her clothes on top of them, but not today. Upon seeing the sparkling water, she took them off as she ran and jumped into the stream with only her underwear. She stayed under for 10 seconds and surfaced with splashes of water and giggles. She whipped her head when she heard rustles of leaves and watched as a small toad bounded towards the bank. But she was unprepared for what came out of the bushes next. His face was smudged with mud, and his clothes were dirty. She could not mistake him for someone else. The blonde hair and the boyish grin, the clear gales of laughter and the bright blue eyes. She screamed at the top of her lungs at the same time Naruto lunges into the water to catch the small toad. He froze in place, gripping the poor thing in his hand. Realizing his predicament, he let go of the toad and turned around. I'm sorry. I didn't know somebody was here, Naruto said. I'll go now. It was not my intention to barge in on you while you were bathing. Don't move until I say so. She picked up her clothes and put it on behind Naruto. Though it could not be helped, dressing behind the blonde boy still made her blush. It's okay now. You can turn around. Naruto blinked when he saw her and mouthed, beautiful. He did it unconsciously, and ordinary people could not have followed the movements of his lips, but she did. To avoid awkwardness, she pushed that notion aside and approached him. What are you doing here? She asked. I was trying to explore the lay of the land since I haven't had the time to do so until now, he said. I'm sorry. The way you look, you seem like you were just playing. Haha, yeah, the kids just started goofing off when I turned away for a second. Kids? Oh, I mean the baby toads. He likes her, a small girl's voice coming on top of the boulder said. I agree. Naruto ni-sama likes her, a small boy's voice said. Hey, Gamatoda, Gamasaku. Come here, you brats. Naruto was about to chase after the two baby toads, but Ino grabbed his arm. Hey, stop that, let the kids play, Ino said, laughing. There are no snakes here so don't worry. I need to punish those brats for saying something stupid in front of you, Naruto said. I didn't hear anything that you need to punish them for. But they said. Ino raised an eyebrow. Well, don't take them seriously, okay? These kids could be quite the pranksters, sometimes. Do you mean that you don't like me? No, I like you. And then he seemed to have realized his mistake and tried to smooth things over. I mean, as a friend. His stammering made Ino panic as well. Of course. Were you thinking I was interpreting it as something else? No, of course, not. I mean, I like you a lot. A lot. Excuse me. Naruto was about to run away, but Ino caught his collar, causing him to fall on his butt. I'm sorry. Are you alright? Here, grab on, Ino said, offering her hand. Naruto tried to pull himself up, but his feet slid over the pebbles. He fell back down, pulling Ino with him. Ino ended on top of Naruto. After a few seconds of just staring into each other's eyes, Naruto raised his head and kissed Ino on the lips. He was looking away as he spoke. There. That's what I mean. Ino could only stare at him wide-eyed for a minute. She sat up on Naruto's stomach, rubbing her lips. Well, this is a bit sudden. Not for me, Naruto said. I've felt this way for a long time. From when I stayed with you for a few days. No, much earlier than that. Ino felt herself blushing. Naruto, you know I love Sasuke, right? Yes. I've always been watching you. But you're still willing to keep your feelings for me. I'm pretty much used to it now, Naruto said. Seeing you happy is enough for me. I see. I'm sorry for ruining your day. You don't have to consider it. Naruto pushed himself up. Let's get out of here. We're gonna catch a cold if we stay here longer. Ino nodded and stood up. Man, I'm drenched, Naruto said as he raised his dripping sleeve. I got dry clothes with me. Naruto grabbed her hand and pulled her along. My hand. It's not that far, Naruto said. Don't let go. Ino could only watch Naruto's broad back as he led the way. She knew that her face had gone crimson already, and she was sure he could feel the crazy beating of her heart through her hand. They reached the tree where Naruto had hung his knapsack. He gave Ino a clean set of a black and orange jersey while he took for himself a white t-shirt and black jeans. They changed clothes behind each other. Ino tied her hair in a ponytail. She did not miss how Naruto made a small gasp when she asked him how she looked. He, himself, did not look too shabby. The t-shirt hugged his lean upper body, and the jeans showcased his athletic legs. He had a rugged attractiveness to him which was at the same level but opposite to Sasuke's cool look. Let's go. Naruto held his hand up. Ino could feel her knees getting weak. She stared at Naruto, pleadingly, asking him to curb down his advances. Please, he said. You're so unfair, she said, but she gave him her hand just the same. Just until the main road. The main road your butt. What happened to the seeing me happy is enough thing? You didn't say you were already in a relationship with Sasuke. Oh, so you're trying to seduce me, huh? Naruto laughed. What? Of course, not. Now that you know how I feel about you, it's just fair I get some kind of compensation. I'm not that kind of girl, mister. I'm pretty loyal to my feelings. I know that. I will never have another chance like this once you and Sasuke become a couple. Enjoying the gentle pressure of his hand around hers, Ino did not speak for a while. What do you like about me, anyway? Ino said, breaking the silence. A lot. Ino pinched his arm with her free hand. That's very specific. My obsession started when we were young. Obsession? Really? Yes, obsession. But since I was still a kid, it would be more appropriate to call it favoritism. You were my favorite girl. Ino couldn't help herself from grinning. I was a hot-tempered kid back then, and I hated popular guys, Naruto said. It was the reason I antagonized Sasuke in front of everybody. Not a single kid liked me, though it was more my fault for being a jackass. Well, if I didn't try being a jackass, I thought I was going to disappear. One day, Iruka-sensei paired me up with Sasuke for a sparring match. Although I lost, I managed to land a kick on Sasuke, my first ever successful attempt. I accepted my loss. You did not. You acted like a baby and tried to get back at Sasuke during your unison sign. You still remember that. I used to keep tabs on Sasuke's achievements. Naruto smiled and shook his head. Moving on. Are you jealous? I'm boiling in envy. You know, if you hadn't tried acting like an idiot when we were younger, you could have been plenty popular yourself. Well, playing meek didn't go well for me. Besides, if I weren't the rowdy little twit I was, I might never have caught your attention. Ooh, you were a million times more important than other girls. Ino chuckled nervously. Okay, someone is going overboard here. This someone is just being honest, Naruto said. Anyway, as I was saying, I managed to land a kick on Sasuke, right? Some of his fans didn't let me off the hook for that. They dragged me into the forest and beat me up. And then, I barged in with Sakura and hit the biggest bully with a rock. Yeah, I remember it. I will never forget what you said to me as you pulled me away from those kids. Was that kick just for show? I knew that you were talking about my sparring match with Sasuke. It was the first time someone had paid attention. I thought that, finally, I was making progress. I began thinking more about you from that day on. It's not that I was paying attention to you. You just happened to be in the vicinity of my crush. Well, you were my hero, nevertheless, my female Prince Charming, Naruto said, chuckling. How couldn't I fall for you? As I watched you over time, I learned more things about you. You were one of the prettiest girls in class. He glanced over at her. Okay. You've been the prettiest girl I've ever met. Ino tried to stomp on Naruto's feet that the latter evaded skillfully. Stop exaggerating. Okay, don't crush my foot. She knew her face was too red to describe. Then stop embarrassing me. Naruto stopped walking, brought her hand to his lips, and kissed it. Sorry. Ino looked away. As long as you understand. I'm not very good at being complimented so much. She tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear. To be honest, she couldn't be happier hearing candid praise from Naruto. When both of them calmed down, Naruto went on. Even though you were pretty, you were never arrogant. You didn't discriminate. You talked to everyone, even to someone like me who was shunned by the other kids. You were cheerful and protective of your friends. You were diligent in your study and training. You didn't complain who your teammates were even if you were paired with the losers in class. He paused, looking into the distance. You were kind and gentle but also knew how to be strict if necessary. Today, on top of becoming prettier. Naruto, please. Naruto just smiled and continued. On top of becoming prettier, being a great cook, and looking gorgeous in whatever you wear, you're so loyal to your feelings you chose to oppose your mother to protect them. You asked me if I was jealous. Man, I'd kill to be Sasuke right now. Ino had to catch her breath for a few minutes before she could speak again. She felt she was melting into goo. Never in her life had she received such a full-fledged confession. She squeezed his hand to say she appreciated it. What about your thing with Sakura? Was it all an act? Not entirely. I did have a crush on Sakura. But I could say that it was more like the prepubescent stuff kids usually felt towards the cutest girls in class. How was I any different? I loved you, Naruto said. Ino squirmed. Why you wouldn't have known that it was love, she said. That's just impossible. Of course, I wouldn't have known how to call it at that time. But I couldn't have mistaken it for something else. I was drawn to you like a moth to a flame. Really. I didn't notice anything at all. Naruto scratched his cheek. As I said, not many kids liked me. And I saw how most of them ganged up on anyone who so much as called out to me in public. I figured I couldn't drag you into my problems. I did everything so that nobody learned about my feelings for you. You were pretty open about your feelings for Sakura, though. It was during our final academy year, when everyone was used to being around me, already. Besides, you saw how Sakura treated me back then, right? I feel bad for using her as a part of my disguise, but she was the closest girl my age that I got along well. I wouldn't have had any complaints if she reciprocated my feelings, but I just knew she wouldn't. She was head over heels for Sasuke, and I was crazy for you. For all intents and purposes, it was nothing short of a public performance. I was planning to keep it, for good, and I was learning to accept the fact that you wouldn't choose me even if Sasuke were to dump you. I'm hypothetically speaking, okay. Naruto anxiously looked at Ino. Ino smiled at him. I know. Go on, silly. Right. He sighed. Ino bumped him in the shoulder. What's that for? I said, go on. So, as I was saying, I was prepared to keep quiet about this forever, but then you shamelessly barged into my peaceful life and shattered my resolve. Shamelessly. How dare you? Naruto defended himself against a playful barrage of punches from Ino, laughing all the while. When she stopped, he said, I fell for you all over again, and this time around it's unbearable. You being a tease, telling me that I could be physical with you, made it worse. Thinking back, I should have taken your offer. If you had, you would have ceased to exist in my world. I would have treated that experience as a once-in-a-lifetime nightmare. And I would have never spoken your name to anyone again. Ino wasn't aware that Naruto had stopped walking. When she felt the tug of their entwined hands, she turned to him. Naruto was wearing a shocked expression on his face. Damn, I want to hug him. Ino approached Naruto and patted his head. She had to tilt her chin up a bit since he was taller by a few centimeters. She was careful not to let go of his hand. It's never gonna happen as long as you behave yourself around me. Sorry, I couldn't help it. That's terrifying. What part? Ceasing to exist in your world. Ino was at a loss. She stared at Naruto for a long time. Then she said, okay, I'm doing it. No one can stop me. No one, you hear? She embraced Naruto, burying her face in his chest. How could you be so sweet? A branch broke nearby. Ino looked up in the direction of the sound. Sorry. Did I startle you? Sasuke said. Naruto quickly let go of Ino's hand. Hello, Sasuke, Naruto said. Naruto, Ino, Sasuke greeted, bowing a little. Are you on your way to the mansion? Yeah, as a matter of fact, Ino said. Mind if I join you? Sasuke gave Ino a meaningful smirk. Or will I just be a nuisance? Naruto hooked an arm around Sasuke's neck, pulling the young man away from Ino's earshot. Will you learn to read the atmosphere already? Naruto hissed. I think I did a good job of doing that. Are you being sarcastic with me? When Sasuke feigned ignorance, Naruto rolled his eyes. Forget it, Ino. I'll be going back to the forest to get something I forgot. Go back with Sasuke. I'll catch you both at lunch. To Sasuke, he said, be nice to her, okay? Then he left. Did I ruin it? Sasuke asked Ino. Ino was glowering at him. Okay. Bad question. Ino relaxed her shoulders and heaved a sigh. You couldn't have arrived in a worse time. Was that intentional? Of course, not. But I see you're making good progress. Let's go home. I need to help prepare lunch, she said, blushing. They walked in silence for a few seconds. Then Ino said, Sasuke, I don't know, but I feel like this should have happened a long time ago. What do you mean? Naruto just confessed to me. Oh, congratulations. Ino shook her head. It felt like I was hearing it again, like some kind of deja vu. It's supposed to be the first time I heard of it, but at the same time it was not. My opinion is you've fantasized of Naruto confessing to you so much that you mixed reality and fiction together. Shut up. I hate you, she said. In the end, she accepted Sasuke's reason. She would rather focus on Naruto's confession and think how she would respond to it. Hana was seated at her desk, hard at work in reviewing documents on land matters. Over the years, the Yamanaka estate had grown equal to 2/3 of Konoha in expanse. In the Fire Country, the Yamanaka clan held influence both in economic and military matters. Only the Hyuga could compare to it in terms of power among the shinobi clans. This social standing was the reason why a noble family had accepted the invitation she sent for her daughter's hand. The man who had been scheduled to meet Ino during the marriage interview was from the Kasai clan, a close relative of the daimyos. The daimyo had a good relationship with Konoha, and Hana was confident that his office wouldn't get involved in this affair. Nonetheless, she couldn't underestimate the Kasai clan's power. She didn't know how they had reacted after receiving her official letter of apology for canceling the interview with the Kasai clan's heir. She hadn't received any reply from them yet. Hana put down the paper she had been reading and looked up at the ceiling. She was also a product of an arranged marriage. Inoichi had been a coveted bachelor in his younger days. On top of being good-looking, he had many military achievements under his belt and was once nominated as a candidate for Hokage. Yamanaka Jun discovered him during an escort mission and never let go. Inoichi being a splendid man was Hana's sole consolation. She was not sure if either of them felt something special for the other. They had remained married for 17 years, so she could say that it was a successful marriage. Inoichi was important to her, and she knew that he felt the same. But she wouldn't attempt to call it love. Romance was a foreign concept to her. They occasionally slept together, when the urge was there, but not once had one of them uttered a single word of affection to the other. What they had was more of an exclusive form of friendship than the normal husband-wife relationship. Remembering how she had tried to force Ino into a similar situation, she couldn't help but sigh. It was just fortunate that Ino had grown up to be an independent girl who knew what she wanted. Though she didn't regret marrying Inoichi under that arranged setting, she wished that Ino found something better. She had tried to separate Ino and Sasuke, but it was not because she desired an arranged marriage for her daughter. She had only detested the idea of a criminal marrying her only child. If asked why she was willing to recognize Sasuke now as a potential son-in-law, she would answer that she had been wrong. Sasuke had shared with her his memories using a Sharingan jutsu. Though he still withheld events from his childhood, Sasuke shared his life from when he had left Konoha. She learned that he had never hurt innocent civilians. He'd even protected them at times. Most important, he hadn't killed Machiko. It was a white, humanoid creature which had sprouted from Sasuke's abdomen that had killed her best friend. She looked out of the window behind her and saw Ino walking down the limestone footpath to the main house. Her daughter had a bounce in her steps, and she was grinning to herself. Ino glanced up and gave Hana a big wave. Hana waved back and mouthed, "Lounge." Ino replied with a thumbs up. "Mom." Ino bolted up the sofa and hugged Hana. "You seem to be in full spirits," Hana said. "I have something to tell you." Hana had taken Sasuke's advice to befriend Ino, and she could say that it was working out well for her and her daughter. "What is it?" Naruto confessed to me today." Hana raised an eyebrow. Ino seemed to have taken it as an expression of interest, but Hana was feeling something different. "That's surprising. I thought he was in love with Sakura." "Right. He told me that he had kept it to himself all this time. I suspected that it had something to do with my stay at his place, you know, like because I'm so pretty, but then he said that it had started when we were kids. Can you imagine that? So, what was your reply?" "I'm still considering it. I mean, he's grown cute and all, and he's also one of the top shinobi in Konoha, but it's still too sudden for me. I want to be certain about my feelings first." "Take your time. He has loved you for a long time, so I'm sure his feelings are not going to change anytime soon," Hana said. "How about Sasuke? Are you sure about letting him go?" "Sasuke? Huh." Ino settled deeper into the sofa. "I've never been more certain. And to think he was the reason for our fight." "Mom, I know, okay. I was wrong." Ino hugged her. "And it didn't have to be Sasuke. I would have still gotten mad at you for trying to engage me with someone I hadn't even met." After that, Ino told Hana that she was going to help prepare lunch. Hana watched her daughter leave for the kitchen, and then she left in the direction of her mother's office. Yamanaka Jun's office was vast. It was a rectangular room, 20 by 50 meters, with its longer side facing the front. Yamanaka Jun was seated at a low table in the middle, 3/4 away from the entrance. Two female attendants with white masks were kneeling a few paces behind her. An elegant tatami mat, weaved with a scene of a woman playing her koto amidst a field of moonflowers, adorned the whole expanse of the floor. Hana sat down in seiza in front of the old lady at a distance too far for a daughter. Jun looked up and beckoned her to come closer with a gentle gesture of her fingers. Hana bowed in appreciation and settled down an arm's length across her mother. Now closer, Hana could see what was in Jun's hand. It was a cheap stationery popular with teenagers some years back. Mother, I have something to confirm. Look at this, Hana. Look at how much this boy loves our Ino, Jun said. Boy, what do you? Wait, mother, you didn't. Hana blurted out, forgetting about proper etiquette and lunging to snatch away the letter from Jun. Jun moved the paper out of Hana's reach. I can't believe you. What did you do to them? Hana said. I was trying to help them focus on making one decision at a time, especially Ino, Jun said. You're doing it again. Why are you always like this? Like what? Why do you like playing God so much? Jun smiled at Hana, shaking her head a little. Calm down, Hana. I sealed only the memories related to these letters and their knowledge about Naruto's feelings for Ino. The seal is not permanent. It's not the issue. Hana cursed under her breath. Jun continued smiling at her, serene and unperturbed. Daughter, do you have so little faith in me? You know the answer to that. Jun folded the letter in her hand and placed it back into the envelope. She then brought out more envelopes from a side drawer. After stacking them up neatly, she pushed the bundle towards Hana. Yes, I agree that it looks like I stripped away a portion of their freedom to decide things on their own. But whether with or without my intervention, life will catch up and push them into a corner. It can be another person or an unexpected event, but just the same, it will force them to make a choice they feel they have to make. And this choice won't likely contain their honest feelings. Isn't it better that I provided a direction? Yeah, right, like how you arranged my marriage. Jun stood up and walked, stopping by Hana's side. If I didn't do that, you'd have continued searching for the ideal man in those perverted books you loved reading. Hana gaped at her mother. Jun grimaced. She seemed to be recalling one book in particular. Men depicted effeminately, indulging in acts too horrendous to mention. I was a child. You were 16. Hana clammed up. What's done is done, and if you ever break the spell by hinting them about it, I might accidentally tell on your little kissing scene with your potential son-in-law. What? Hana said, feeling the sting of tears in her eyes. How did you know that? It was out of concern for your sudden change of behavior towards Ino. I had to know what happened. In any case, I expect your full cooperation, Jun said and exited the room. When Jun's presence was gone, Hana glared at the two attendants she had known since childhood. Emmy, two things, she said. The perverted books, Amy, the one on the left, said. The perverted act, Emmy, the one on the right, said. We will never say a word, both of them said. They are not perverted. Hana stomped away from the room, face all red. It was time for lunch. Jun sat at the head of the table as usual. Hana took her left. Sakura seated herself next to Hana, and Sasuke settled in the chair next to the pink-haired girl. Naruto sat across from Sasuke, leaving two empty seats next to Jun's. One was for Inoichi, which was reserved even if the man himself was not present, and the other was for Ino. Ino entered the dining room carrying a bowl of braised pork in coconut milk, the same dish she had made for Naruto back in his apartment. Oh, I remember this, Naruto said. Smells great. Tea, thank you, Ino said. She took her seat and pulled it a tad closer to Naruto's chair. Naruto seemed oblivious to the gesture, but the others noted it. I made it less spicy for you, Ino said as she ladled a serving onto his plate. Hope you like it. Hana and Sakura cleared their throat at the same time. Ino and Naruto caught themselves and looked away in embarrassment. Thank you for the food, Jun said, a smile tugging a corner of her lips. Let's begin. That afternoon, Yamanaka Jun summoned Ino, Sakura, Hana, Sasuke, and Naruto to her office. They sat in one row in front of her. I called you here to explain the detail of your mission in Maikiba, Jun said. The village chief of Torihana and I will convene 1 week from now. I will be sending you for a reconnaissance mission to map in detail the venue of the event and to observe its state of affairs. I want you to send me in 5 days all the information you will have gathered and then stand by in that place until I arrive. Village Chief Sakari is already informed of the details, and he will also be sending his representative with a shinobi team to do their surveillance. You will be my envoys, so I will not appreciate anything that will ruin the Yamanaka name. I don't want you running afoul with the local authorities of Maikiba. If you think your action will precariously attract unwanted suspicion, abort. Hana will be captain and Sasuke vice captain for this mission. Hana will not participate on foot. She will establish HQ at the Maikiba Grand Inn and support you politically if something comes up. Meanwhile, the 4 of you will pose as couples. Maikiba is holding its annual Moon Banquet Festival, and it is known as one of the most popular festivals for newlyweds. I don't want any mistake, so Ino and Sakura, you should discuss between the 2 of you with whom you'll be more comfortable doing this. You girls are the key to make this disguise work. Any questions? Jun said. I would like to confirm if we are safe not disguising our appearance in this village, Sasuke said. Maikiba is a non-military village, Jun said. Thus, she is not privy to classified information regarding the shinobi world. She has the local police, but this organization only reacts to present threats. The only thing you should be wary about is creating suspicion on yourself. Keep it all lovey-dovey out there, and I assure you the guards will be too embarrassed to look your way. Any other questions? No one spoke. Okay. Hana, I want to talk about the finer details of the mission with you. You 4 are free to go. Once the 4 were gone, Hana glared at Jun. You're so evil, mother. You're enjoying this, aren't you? I don't have any idea what you mean. Hana grunted and looked away. When they were out in the hallway, Sakura grabbed Ino's hand and told the boys, don't follow us. Sasuke and Naruto nodded and left towards the opposite direction. Sakura led Ino into the gazebo in the middle of the flower garden. The mellow light of the afternoon, the colorful flowers, the soft breeze, and the perfect shade provided by the low-hanging trees made it an ideal place to take a nap. Hey, what's the matter? You look kinda scary, Ino said. She spotted a passing maid and requested cold drinks and snacks for her and her best friend. Sakura pulled Ino to the bench, eyes cast down. The maid arrived with cold barley tea and mochi, excused herself and left, but Sakura still seemed not to know how to begin. Sakura, did you know that I invited Naruto to go out with me at the flower festival? Sakura said, eyes still on the floor. It had been a long time since we did something like that, I mean, going out together, only the 2 of us. I thought he'd be happy to go on a date with me, but he was not. He was distracted. In the end, he bailed out on me, said he was feeling unwell. He didn't forget to apologize and take me back home, I can give him that, but it was frustrating. He used to fuss over me very much, trying things to touch my hand, making attempts to kiss me. That jerk. Sakura looked up at Ino. Ino felt Sakura's hand tightening around hers. A few days ago, we fought. I couldn't take that he'd keep your stay at his apartment a secret from me. He said something to me about you, but I don't remember it, clearly. It could be because I was struggling with my emotions that time, I don't know. But I have a vague feeling that he was trying to say something important. Sakura paused and looked into Ino's eyes. You know where I'm going with this, aren't you? Ino couldn't answer. She couldn't miss something that obvious. Sakura heaved a deep sigh. I'm beginning to feel I'll lose him if I don't do this now. Sakura, are you? Sakura shook her head. That's not important. Ino, let me be Naruto's partner for this mission. Ino tried to formulate excuses in her mind. She hadn't had the slightest idea things would develop in this direction. In all the years she was with Sakura, she had never expected that her best friend would develop feelings for Naruto. Sure, they were too close, they could take turns feeding each other or drink from the same bottle without getting embarrassed. But despite this intimacy, everyone who saw them understood that these gestures were platonic. In Naruto's words, it was all an act. I think it will not work if I pair up with Sasuke, Ino said, pulling her hand away from Sakura's grasp. I'll be too stiff to play my role as his partner. You know how I feel about him, right? Aren't you doing rounds with him every day? I don't believe you aren't used to being around him, yet. If we were alone, it could work, but we are talking about a festival here. Besides, wouldn't it feel awkward for you to pair up with Naruto, too, considering, you know, your feelings for him? No, I'll play my part well. I promise you that. I still think I ought to pair up with Naruto in this mission. Why? I already told you. No, I don't believe it's as simple as that, Ino. I think you're hiding something from me. I'm not. Okay, quit imagining things. Did you do it with him? Sakura said. Ino froze upon hearing that question. She heard a faint voice in her head asking her the same thing. No, she mumbled. Didn't something like this happen already? Did it feel good? Sakura's voice was filled with venom. Wait, what? No, I didn't do it with him. What the hell is wrong with you? Ino said. Then tell me why. Because I don't want to lose him, too. There. She said it. How stupid can I be? Sakura glared at Ino for a few seconds, and then she marched away, wiping her tears with the heel of her hand. Goddammit, Ino muttered, as she slumped down the bench. She put her arm across her eyes. Where did that come from, Ino? He just confessed to you this morning. How can you already say you don't want to lose him? Sakura, her head lowered, entered Naruto's room from the outer corridor. Sasuke and Naruto were playing shogi, of which board was placed atop a black chibudai near the entrance. Sakura sat beside Naruto, not uttering even a greeting. Sasuke watched her for a moment. He then picked up a piece and placed it on the board with a cluck. Check, Sasuke said, pushing himself up with his cane. I guess it's another win for me. My legs are beginning to hurt. Let me stretch them for a bit. He bowed at Sakura and left the room. Naruto had his hand pinching his chin as he thought of a way out of his predicament, but after a few minutes, he sighed and slouched forward. Man, I can't win against him. Sasuke is amazing. Hey, have you been crying? Sakura looked up at Naruto, smiled, and then leaned her head on his shoulder. Are you alright? Did you have a fight with Ino? Sakura shook her head. Let me lie down for a bit. Huh, sure, he said, thinking that it was his shoulder she would use as a pillow. He froze when Sakura put her head on his thigh. Sakura stuck her tongue out at him. Just for a bit. What a baby, he said, sighing. He stared at her face, which was smeared with dried tears. He plucked a tissue from the box beside the table, drenched it with water from his clay cup, and began wiping the tear tracks on her cheeks. Was it about Sasuke again? She grabbed the small of his back and buried her face into his tummy. How come you smell this good while being a man? What's that supposed to mean? Are men supposed to smell bad? Naturally. At least most of you. That's a horrible misconception. If another guy heard you, your popularity would nosedive. I don't need anyone else, she muttered. What's that? I'm just kidding. Sakura chuckled. Yeah, we were arguing over who would partner with whom. I assume you lost. Sakura caught Naruto's eyes, a tug stretching a corner of her lips. In a way, yeah. In a way, huh. Naruto reached over and arranged some pieces on the shogi board, mumbling, I should have placed my knight here. Yep. In a way, Sakura said. I'm sorry you're stuck with me. Sakura squeezed her face into Naruto once again. Tough luck, she said as she playfully bit him. Naruto pinched her cheek. Stop that. Don't you feel embarrassed when I do this to you? If we're alone, nope, just don't go too far. What is too far for you? Anything best friends should not do. Yeah, what if I initiated it? That would be nice, but no. You think it would be nice? Sakura slapped his side. What a pervert. Hey, you started it. Naruto said, laughing. Seriously, stop baiting me. How about this? Sakura took hold of his pants zipper tab. Is this? Naruto attacked her sides, trying hard to tickle her to death. Sakura cried, no, 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 but Naruto was relentless. She curled up and defended against his hands. Naruto pulled away for a few seconds only to launch a more vigorous barrage of finger thrusts amidst her pleading and laughter. Okay, time out, Sakura squealed. There are no timeouts in real life. You sadistic brute. When Naruto leaned in to deliver another round of tickles, Sakura grabbed his shoulders and took him down. Now she was straddling him, his face trapped between her arms. Her hair and her breath touched his face. He grinned up at her. He was about to speak when Sakura dipped her head and kissed him on the lips. I win, she said. She got off and sprawled beside Naruto. No one moved for a full minute. Don't let it go to your head, idiot. I will brag about it. I got carried away. It doesn't have any meaning, okay. That was a kiss. On the lips. Shut up. She punched him in the shoulder. Alright, I'm just kidding. She stood up and dusted herself off. Anyway, you are my partner, and that's final. Be sure to treat me well, Naruto. Okay. Oh, and by the way, thank you for cheering me up. Anytime, he said. See you, then. Naruto could only shake his head as he watched her go. He traced his lips with his fingers, thinking that it was not that bad to receive something too far every now and then. With a soft smile, he whispered, maybe this is for the best. Sasuke found Ino at the pond soaking her feet in the water. He went to sit down beside her, submerging his feet into the water as well. Only the thonk of the shishi-adoshi against its stopper broke the all-pervading silence of the place at a regular cycle. I could hear them from here, Ino said. I've never heard Sakura laugh that hard before. She was having so much fun. This water feels warm. Mind if I smoke? When Ino shook her head, he brought out his long pipe from his robe and lit it. We had an argument about the mission. It was pretty dumb, really, considering that we were just trying to agree on whom to take as our partner. I thought she would ask me to let her partner with you. I was like, sure, honey, no problem. I didn't expect to hear that she wanted to pair up with Naruto. And, Ino glared at Sasuke. Playing dumb, are we? No, I just want to hear it from you. Jerk. Sasuke just smiled and blew some smoke. I insisted that it'd be better if I paired up with Naruto, Ino said. I know I acted like a bitch. I know that. My best friend was asking a favor from me. Considering all the things I received from her, I should be allowing a simple wish like that. But there I was saying I couldn't, wouldn't. Okay, are you happy now? She covered her face to hide her blush. Wouldn't. I don't know what came over me. The thought of seeing the two of them walking hand in hand together filled me with so much jealousy I surprised even myself. Why not just go and tell Naruto how you feel? Are you crazy? I can't barge in and take Naruto away just because he confessed to me. I'm not even sure how I feel about him, yet. Getting jealous of Sakura is not convincing enough. It's not that simple. Take him, and then sort out your feelings afterward. And Sakura, do you think I'll be at peace knowing that I've taken away her shot? Sasuke sighed. He beckoned Ino to come closer, and when she did, he poked her forehead with his fore and middle finger. Ino covered the poked spot with her hands. Geez, treating me like your kid sister again, Ino said, puffing her cheeks. It's not that I know anything about love, Sasuke said, but I think it's okay to be selfish when it comes to it. Being hurt for someone's happiness is not what I call fair. I'm not hurt, okay? Stop assuming things. Ino scooted over and hugged Sasuke's arm. I'm just a little confused. Have you told him yet about us? Us. Really? Nicely phrased. Don't evade the question. Ino leaned her head on Sasuke's shoulder. Not yet. I don't know how to say it. I don't know when to say it. I'm afraid that if I tell him, he'll stop loving me. That's a weird logic you got there. No, I think it's a big factor that he thinks I'm in love with you. Sasuke scoffed, and for that, received a pinch from Ino. I know, okay, Ino said, I'm not making any sense. It's just that I feel. Conflicted. It's like if I respond to his feelings, I will lose something important to me. Sasuke watched the sky turn red with the approaching dusk. For a time, he remained silent. Then he said, what if I told you you'd already let it go? I don't even know what it is. Your indecisiveness will come back to bite you. Ino groaned. Let me try that, she said, gesturing toward his Kakarui pipe. If you don't, I'll bite your arm. Naruto allowed himself a gentle smile as he watched the backs of Ino and Sasuke under the light of the setting sun. Quietly, he retraced his steps backward and turned toward the nearest room he could find. A couple of sobs escaped his throat, but he managed to stop himself from breaking down. He looked up at the ceiling and took deep, calming breaths. After a few tries, his erratic heart relaxed. He regained control over his petrified muscles, and soon he was moving again, away from the painful sight. Yeah, he said, maybe this is for the best. The next morning before sunrise, Hana, Ino, Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto gathered in front of the mansion. Yamanaka-jun and Hana had pulled all stops to dress the two girls with the most elegant clothing designed to create the impression of upper-class married women. Ino wore a blue and purple homongi embroidered with white lilies cascading over tranquil waters. Sakura, on the other hand, wore a red and pink homongi adorned with a magnificent tree of cherry blossoms. Ino's hair was knotted and fixed with a silver ogi kanzashi on the back of her head while a length cascaded down one shoulder. The left side of Sakura's hair was braided into a pencil tail which was held by a bura kanzashi of cherry petals. Coupled with their small, pretty faces, both of them could be mistaken for visiting princesses. Sasuke and Naruto, garbed in black shawl lapel suits and white gloves, were the picture of proud young diplomats escorting and displaying their beautiful wives to the world. You look splendid, Hana said, herself wearing a first-class kimono of white flying cranes. Okay. Remember, your disguise starts once you enter the carriage. Maikiba is a world-renowned retreat for the wealthy, so it's imperative that you look dignified even out on its streets. It will only take one mistake to fail, so be very careful on how you appear in there. I'm counting on you. The ride to Maikiba had a subdued atmosphere to it. No one talked. More than that, a chasm seemed to have opened up between the two girls in one night. Sakura hadn't even looked in Ino's direction even once since the start of the trip. Seated by the window, Sakura busied herself watching the scenery outside. She was holding Naruto's hand. Hana, who was sitting beside Naruto, turned her attention to Ino. Her daughter had been glancing at Naruto an unhealthy amount. She was tempted to chide her. When Ino's eyes locked with hers, Hana saw a heart-rending emotion in them. In Ino's eyes were a question and a call for help. Ino told her everything without saying a single word. Hana raised an eyebrow at Sasuke, but he could only shrug. He didn't know what had happened. Hana woke Naruto from his nap by tapping on his hand. Something the matter? Naruto said with a smile. Hana was again captivated by how good-looking this young man was. Was it really true he had been the most unpopular kid in his class? Hana searched for any telltale signs on his face, but she could only find slight bewilderment on it. Naruto turned to Sasuke, and then to Ino. Ino. Naruto called out. Ino's shoulders jumped at the mention of her name. What? She must have stayed up all night to prepare for today, Sakura said. And you did not. Your eye bags are showing despite your thick makeup, FYI. It doesn't matter. She pulled her and Naruto's entwined hands on her thigh. Naruto won't mind. Naruto won't say. I'm sure he minds. Say what you want. Yeah, I will. You walked out on me yesterday and decided things on your own. You didn't even consult your other teammates for their opinion on the subject. Shut up. You would have never agreed to it no matter what. Stop. Hana yelled. The carriage pulled over. Her voice must have been loud enough to reach the coachman. What the hell is going on? Ino. Sakura. Ino and Sakura didn't answer. I agreed to it, Ino, Naruto said. I think our current pairing will work better. That's only your opinion, too, Ino replied. We should have approached this issue more rationally. Rationally? Sakura scoffed. I was rational. Sakura. Enough, please, Hana said. Sasuke. Naruto, would you mind leaving us for a bit? The two boys got off the carriage. What is this all about? Either of the girls said anything. Come on, tell me. It's about the pair up, Ino said. We were supposed to decide on that together, but Sakura probably never told Naruto that it wasn't concluded, yet. I wanted Naruto to be my partner, Sakura said. It's reasonable. We've known each other since childhood. I'm his closest friend. I can't imagine it going smoothly with you, who's practically only a distant acquaintance to him. An acquaintance? That's bullshit. I admit we haven't been that close, but I'm his friend. I also believe that having his closest friend play as his lover will expose the disguise much faster than doing it with someone who's not too familiar. You look more like siblings than lovers on the streets. Sakura glared at Ino. You don't even know the first thing about Naruto. How can you say you'll fare better? Besides, aren't you in love with Sasuke? Ino bit her lips. Sakura wiped the tears that spilled out her eyes. I'm not giving him up. I love that idiot more than you ever can. I'm not saying. Be fucking honest with me for once. He confessed to me. Ino broke down. He's been in love with me since we were kids. He admitted it himself. Sakura opened her mouth, but for a time, no words came out. It might have been a couple of minutes before she spoke. No, I don't believe you. You're making that up. No, you treated him like a joke. You looked down on him. That's just plain impossible. I couldn't believe it myself. No. Sakura crumpled on her seat and wept. You're a liar. Hana moved over and embraced Sakura. She never said any words of comfort or sympathy. She cradled Sakura's trembling shoulders until they stopped. Ino, what is Naruto to you? In the silence, Sakura's voice, though muffled by Hana's bosom, carried clearly. Sakura gently took Hana's hands into hers and stared at Ino. If you can't answer that, then let me be Naruto's partner. I want to hear it from his own mouth. Fine. Do what you want, Ino said, brusquely wiping the tears from her eyes with the back of her hand. Hana waited for either to say something more. When no one did, Hana summoned a falcon with summoning jutsu. The gray bird of prey flapped its wings in greeting. She opened the door a crack. Sasuke, Naruto, I'll request another carriage to take you to Maikiba. We'll be going ahead. Sasuke and Naruto were standing a shouting distance away from the carriage, probably to avoid overhearing anything they should not. The coachman was with them. Roger. Naruto affirmed. See you there. Hana nodded at him and nudged the falcon into the sky. The coachman went back to his stand and coaxed the horses to motion with a flick of his reins. The Grand Maikiba Inn was one of the 3 castles of Maikiba village. It towered on the middle hill, or what was locally called the Heart. The supreme Maikiba Inn stood on top of the highest mountain called the Horn. And the great Maikiba Inn overlooked a vast lake at the plains below called the Hand. Together the 3 castles formed a 3-tiered stronghold, designed initially to provide an interlocking field of fire during the Warring States period. The Grand Maikiba Inn had 7 stories and crowned with white, graceful gables of wooden tiles and ornate cornices lined in gold. The Yamanaka clan's mansion was intimidating enough, but Naruto felt that the building exerted a suffocating pressure on an entirely different level. He gulped while looking up at the white walls of the castle. I am a noble of Masanobu. Who are you to prohibit me from entering? A fat, bald, middle-aged man protested to the guard. The stoic guard shook his head. Maikiba maintains that a decent man will not let his body turn disgusting. What did you say? This place is recognized and protected by international law, and under its condition, we must keep our policy that all our guests get their perfect holiday. That includes eliminating unwanted sights like you. Try to look around you. Even those advanced in age exude grace and elegance that demand attention and respect. You are from Masanobu, you say. If you persist on entering after your disqualification, we will be forced to issue a letter of protest to your village. It wasn't a case of contempt for ugliness. A few of the guests looked homely, but they carried themselves with confidence and dignity that made them appealing. God-given genes hardly mattered in this place. Attitude, aura, and perseverance to look one's best commanded the flow of attention. Being unsightly is a crime here, Sasuke said. In all of its connotations. As Naruto and Sasuke started for the gatehouse, some of the young women in the crowd couldn't help checking them out. They walked with confident strides, straight backs, and assertive gazes. They passed by the stoic guard without being stopped. Mistaking them for Maikiba's owners would have been a natural reaction. Good evening, gentlemen, greeted a young woman in a white flowing gown. Without showing a hint of surprise, Naruto did what he had practiced repeatedly. He scooped up and kissed the young woman's hand. Good evening, my lady, he said. I would love to take up some of your time, but I'm afraid we're already late for our appointment. My wife might divorce me if I gave in to another temptation. The young woman blushed and could only groan in reply. Naruto and Sasuke were flagged 3 more times before they reached the keep deep within the castle walls. It turned out that Hana hadn't been exaggerating when she told them that a bastard was one of Maikiba's most famous souvenirs. A pavilion shaded an area in front of the keep where crystal tables and oak wood chairs stood on the rubble pavement. Sasuke easily spotted Ino and Sakura among the scant crowd. Both had a tall glass of fruit sherbet in one hand and a man trying to court them in another. Sakura looked up, caught sight of their approaching figure, and gave a wave. The suitors scowled at Sasuke and Naruto and left with angry strides. Ino and Sakura faced each other and giggled. Naruto and Sasuke, recalling how the girls had been at each other's throat just a while ago, exchanged amused glances on their own. We've been waiting for almost an hour, Sakura said. I've been proposed to by an 8-year-old boy. Can you imagine that? God, this place is a jungle, Ino added. Hyenas everywhere. Right, really. I mean, how can someone flaunt their money like that? It's as if you need to pay taxes because they're talking to you. I was this close. If that last guy had tried as much as attempt to touch me, I would have bashed his skull in. Sakura heaved a sigh. Anyway, Sasuke, I was asked to take you to Hana-san when you arrived. Naruto, you wait here with Ino. Sakura led the way to the keep. Sasuke followed behind her after a curt bow towards Ino and Naruto. Somebody make her deputy vice captain. Ino giggled. And that is? The actual vice captain. I think you're just thirsty. Come here and sit down. Excuse me, waiter. Ino ordered what Naruto asked, an avocado shake. The tall glass of light green smoothie, topped with a hefty spoonful of creme caramel, condensed milk, slices of cocoa jelly and cherries, arrived almost immediately via a lovely girl who desperately tried to make eye contact with Naruto. To her disappointment, though, Naruto only offered a quick thank you before shifting his full attention to Ino. Hey, about earlier, Naruto began. I appreciate what you did, but I'm fine. What are you talking about? You know, just confessed to you, so maybe you thought I wanted to pair up with you. What? Ino was grinning. I didn't do it for you. It's just that the whole Sakura sneaking behind my back thing upset me. Anyway, we sorted it out. I talked it over with Sakura, and we decided to stick to the current pairings. She placed her hand over his knuckles and teasingly said, "Mute Mr. Ego a little bit." As he stared at Ino, trying to formulate a response, Naruto saw in his mind's eye the sunset of the previous day, superimposed by a couple's silhouette of which female half was the girl in front of him. In the pit of his stomach, a burning feeling akin to magma spread outward inside his chest. With a gulp, he tried to flip it over on itself and succeeded, but he couldn't catch in time the fake smile that involuntarily stretched his lips. He must have looked hideous to Ino. He would have shrunk away in disgust if he were looking at himself. He turned his hand over to catch Ino's palm, but she was fast to withdraw it away. She cradled it with her other hand, pressing down on its center with her thumb as if to knead an imaginary insect bite. He was waiting for that final confirmation. Naruto retracted his hand from the table and said, "I didn't mean to sound conceited. But if you somehow thought that way, then my answer is yes. I prayed, that it ended with you having to play as my wife. If you had protested, we could have done something about it." She was looking away when she spoke, so she was surprised when his reply was an uncouth slurp from his straw. "Best avocado shake I've ever had," he said. "Pig," she muttered. The furrow in her brows and her harsh criticism were unlikely the products of his off-topic quip. She didn't like the sudden change of subject. He played with the straw in his mouth. "Be seduced by this pig. Gross. Please." Ino blushed. "No." Naruto laughed at her reply. "Well, from an objective point of view, I didn't have a reason to protest." He stood up and tried to say something, but he found nothing to add. "I'm going to the restroom for a bit." When he came back, Sakura and Sasuke were sitting with Ino at the table, waiting for him. Hana introduced them to village chief Sakari, who hobbled towards each one of them one at a time to peer closely at their faces. His cataracts had rendered him almost blind, so he supplemented his bad sight with his sense of touch. He was small, standing only a little over 4 feet. He apologetically asked them to bend forward so that he could reach their cheeks. He had an entourage of 4 shinobi, also posing as couples on their honeymoon. Ino and Sasuke were assigned to the Supreme Maikiba Inn on the Horn, while Sakura and Naruto got to stay at the Great Maikiba Inn on the Hand. For 3 days, they would do their surveillance at separate locations to cover as much area as possible. Ino couldn't help feeling miffed when the attendant showed her and Sasuke their room at the Supreme Maikiba Inn. It came with a canopied double bed and a balcony. The first thing Ino did was to go behind the partition blind. Sasuke started to boil some water for tea and went to survey the scenery on the balcony. Ino finished changing and came out wearing a one-piece white summer dress. She had tied her hair in a low ponytail. As she was placing her luggage on the bed, she noticed Sasuke's stare. "What?" she asked. "Nothing. It won't hurt to talk." Sasuke walked back into the room. He poured 2 cups of tea and handed one over to Ino. Ino placed her cup on the lamp table. "Come with me to the balcony," he said. "You can unpack later. I'm not in the mood." Sasuke gently held her wrist and tugged on it. "You need to relax a little." Ino sighed. "Fine." She pulled her wrist away from Sasuke's grasp and marched to the balcony with her tea. Her steps slowed when she got her first glimpse of the panorama. Sasuke grabbed her free hand and led her to the glass table near the balustrade. From their vantage point, they could see the White Castle on the middle hill and the Green Castle on the plains. But it was the lake that captured most of their attention. "It must look like the ocean up close," Sasuke said. "We'd better ask Sakura all about it later." She snorted. "Though I guess it will be Naruto, Naruto from her mouth after this trip. God, I hate imagining it." She drank some tea and grimaced at the double bed. Why do we have to share the same room? It's sop. It will look weird if we take separate rooms. I know that. It's not what I'm asking about. Sasuke smiled and pulled out his kakarui pipe from his robe. All you do is smoke and smile, that stupid smile, and act like you know everything, she said. This tea tastes horrible, too. She brought her teacup to her lips with a shaking hand. Her face scrunched up. I hate this tea. She pulled her knees to her chest and buried her face in them. Leave me alone, Sasuke. Go somewhere. Pretend we had a fight and I kicked you out of the room. It's normal for young couples to get into a fight out of nowhere. I will be the jealous wife who found out about her husband cheating in broad daylight. You know I can't do that. Ino remained silent for 2 minutes, not knowing what to say, not knowing how to continue. She desperately wanted to lie and hide everything from Sasuke. But in the end, she couldn't. I don't want to lose him. I want Naruto by my side. I hear you. I want him to cook for me again. I want him to fuss over me again. I want him to buy me blue chocolates again. I want him to tell me that he loves me. Uhu. I don't want to share him with Sakura. He's mine. Naruto is mine. Do you love him? Yes, I do. Ino wailed. I love him, I love him, I love him. Ino stood on the balustrade, took in a deep breath, and yelled, Naruto. I'm here. Come here and get me, you idiot. Yamanaka-jun, in her office, miles away from Maikiba, tilted her head as if she heard Ino's voice. Smiling, she turned back to the document in front of her. Her husband cheating in broad daylight, Sasuke scoffed. Shut up. Do you remember now? In reply, Ino dashed to her luggage and rummaged around inside it, throwing clothes everywhere. He found a bundle of letters in a secret pocket she didn't remember ever seeing. Mom, she murmured. She hugged the envelopes and sank into the mattress. Sasuke followed her into the room. Your grandmother's method was a little underhanded, but it worked. I assume Naruto and Sakura, too. And you. No, not me. My Sharingan protects me from mind jutsu. Good for you, Ino said, her face melting into a wobbly smile while staring at the letters. They're back. You're kinda creeping me out, Sasuke said. Ino hurled a pillow at him. Will you get out? The door's over there. Better still, the balcony's just one leap away. To tease her, Sasuke transformed into Naruto. Ino shrieked and chased Sasuke away with the lamp table. Sakura had just gotten out of the shower when she felt the click in her head. She stared into the distance while her fight with Naruto played back in her mind. I'm in love with your friend, been in love for a long time. No, she whispered. She ran to the balcony where Naruto napped in a chaise longue. The towel wrapping her body fell as she lunged at Naruto. Naruto almost bolted up in surprise but managed to stop before he flung Sakura away. Hey, what's going on? There was a cockroach. A cockroach? Sakura nodded. It almost bit me. I don't see a cockroach anywhere. Sakura straightened up without warning. He hissed and looked away. What the hell are you doing? We're the only ones here. Are you an idiot? Naruto snatched the towel from the floor and wrapped it around her body. He then scooped her up in his arms, glaring left and right at the adjacent balconies. Sakura couldn't take her eyes away from him as he did that. After confirming the coast was clear, he carried Sakura inside and deposited her to the bed. Sakura hooked her arms around his neck. When he tried to get away, she pulled down hard and gave his lips a peck. He struggled to free himself from her embrace, but it was no use. She was much stronger than him. Naruto quit moving and stared into her eyes. She knew that he was attracted to her, at least physically, and now that their bodies were so close, she was sure his defenses would break sooner or later. Her expectations delivered. Naruto imprisoned her face in his hands and kissed her deep. When the strength left her arms, he pried them off his neck and pinned them over her head. He watched her prone figure for a time and then turned away to sit on the edge of the bed. Not like this, Sakura, he said. If I were Tsunade-sama, you wouldn't be saying that. Huh, or Anko-san, or Hinata. She looked at him. Ino. I promise you that it's not about that. HMPH. I can't believe I'm having this conversation with you. Sakura remained quiet. He heaved a sigh. Alright, I'll tell you what I think about your boo. Sakura smothered his face with a pillow. I wasn't trying to ask about them, you blockhead. Naruto tapped her arm. Sakura relented, settled down, and hugged the pillow to her naked body. Can you blame me for taking it that way? Naruto said. You were dropping bombshells one after another. And please, if you're going to tease me with someone, try to exclude Ba-chan, okay? It's gross. Tsunade-sama is only the hottest woman in Konoha. Are you telling me you don't find her attractive? Yeah, I do, but, come on. Do I have to spell it out? Sakura giggled. Hey, I never got to apologize about last time, you know, about our fight. Naruto threw the blanket over Sakura and sprawled beside her. What? That? Forget about it. So, Ino. Huh. Naruto didn't speak, and it lasted long enough that Sakura thought he had dozed off. Yeah, but I figured it might have been just an infatuation, Naruto said. If you're holding out because of me, don't. Those kisses, this, and those other things. There are no other things. They don't mean anything. I feel frisky sometimes. And I'd like it if you stopped. Should I? You should. It's pathetic losing your virginity to your best friend. I never said I was willing to go that far. Naruto sighed. Look, Sakura, you turn me on. It's tough to keep it under when you come on to me like this. You got curves at the right places. Your skin is perfect. You have a complex about your boobs, but I like them very much. Even if you're not willing, there will come a time that I won't be able to stop myself. Both of us are going to regret it. You, maybe, but me, not really. My mistake. I wasn't clear enough. I was talking about myself when I said virgin. Are you accusing me of sleeping around? Just being sarcastic. Try me, Sakura said. Sakura. Naruto sat up and took her hand. I don't want for the experience to feel empty. I don't want to do it because of convenience, because there is this gorgeous girl in front of me who says it's okay. You're a precious girl to me, so I'd rather give my whole self to you than just some part of me. You deserve nothing less. But, right now, I still can't. Is that the same reason you rejected me during the war? No, you were simply insincere. And if I said you were wrong, was I? Sakura looked away. No. See. His smile said. Anyway, this discussion is over. I'm going to take a shower. You're going to get dressed. Then we're going out. The fireworks show here is quite famous. And I want to make up for our lousy date last time. When Naruto was out of earshot, Sakura said, insincere, huh? You really are dense. Ino spent the afternoon rereading Naruto's letters. She was upset about her grandmother's meddling, but she would have stayed confused if Jun hadn't temporarily erased her memories. Her feelings for Naruto had suddenly burst out when she got them back. It was embarrassing, yelling at the top of her lungs, but she was proud of it. She would do it again if someone so much as implied that she was pulling a prank. Thinking back on it, she had targeted Naruto most of the time because he didn't get angry with her. She could brag that she was one of the more intelligent girls among her peer, but was she dense when it came to matters with the opposite sex? How had Naruto reacted to other people who mocked him? Remembering specific events was difficult since she hadn't paid much attention to him before. Her only reference was his interactions with Sakura, but Sakura didn't joke around with Naruto. Sakura yelled at him a lot of times, but laughed at him. No. Naruto's reaction to Sakura's scolding had been nothing special. He sulked and talked back to her like a sibling did. Nothing more. Could she compare it to that one time when she asked him for a kiss? That whole incident had developed from an innocent comment. One ordinary day turned into something unforgettable when Aoba teased her that Naruto had been glancing in her direction when she was not looking. Ino didn't know why the blonde was at the hospital, but he couldn't have picked a worse time. He was sitting in the waiting area, reading some magazine. She gazed at him, waited for a few seconds, and turned back to the form she was filling up. Maybe he is attracted to you, the short-haired Aoba said. Among all the friends she had, Ino was most wary of the mischievous Aoba. She couldn't count how many times the girl had dragged her into unpleasant situations. Aoba was a self-proclaimed virgin, and Ino believed her, but Aoba's teasing personality made her seem, to a third party's point of view, anything but. Aoba played the matchmaker of the group, usually pairing two incongruous people together for her amusement. She was doing it right now. What the hell are you talking about? His eyes have hearts in them. Don't go there, Aoba. Dare. Shut it. I'm gonna smack you. Why not? The big-chested Nana said. Can't you do it? Nana was Aoba's best friend. She looked like an airhead on the outside, complete with droopy eyes, big boobs, and pure smile, but Ino knew it wasn't the case. It was a facade. Ino wasn't sure if Nana unconsciously did it. But if Ino had to list down all of Aoba's tomfooleries, she could probably blame Nana for half of them. I won't. Come on, Aoba said. We'll cover for you. It's not that busy, anyway. Besides, I remember this girl who bailed out of a dare last time after we completed ours. You were asking me to walk home without panties. Ino hissed. A dare is a dare. Nana said, well, maybe our Ino is not confident that she can get it. Yeah, Aoba agreed. She did gain a bit of weight and is getting chubby around the face. I'm sure Sasuke-kun told us once that he hated fat girls. Ino scowled. I only gained 40 pounds. 40. A dare is a dare. A gain is a gain, Aoba said, giggling. This is getting ridiculous. Aoba sidled over to Ino and whispered, I don't know. I'm thinking of writing a get-well-soon letter to Sasuke one of these days. I might accidentally write something equally embarrassing as what you dared us to do last time. Ino gaped at her. Are you serious? Hee hee. Beware of Aoba's grudge, Nana said. You both are crazy. Ino sighed. Fine, but this is only happening once, you got me. What am I supposed to do? Something equally embarrassing. Aoba sneered. Get a kiss from him. Ino glared at Aoba. I swear I'm gonna kill you. Well, at least, you'll be getting it from a cutie pie like Naruto-sama, Nana said, unlike us poor maidens who lost it to each other. Fine. I got it. Geez. Yay. Good luck, girl. Aoba summoned a black butterfly that perched on Ino's head. That guy will be our eyes. Aoba and Nana annoyed the hell out of her, but she couldn't do anything. She marched to where Naruto was. Clearing her throat, she greeted him. Hi, Naruto. Naruto looked up from his magazine. Ino. Hey, I'm on break. Want to join me for some dessert? My treat. Naruto frowned. You have a fever. God, he's annoying. I'm having a good day right now, Ino whispered, threateningly. Don't ruin it. Naruto held his hands up. Okay, sure, whatever you say, boss. He seemed to have noticed the butterfly on Ino's head but didn't mention anything about it. Come with me. She turned to go, but Naruto grabbed her arm. Wait. Hold on, Naruto said. What now? Breathe. Ino glared at him. I don't have time for this. Breathe. Come on, he said, chuckling. I don't know what came over you, but at least, try to relax. Ino clenched her jaws but did as he asked. There. Happy. Better. I apologize for earlier, Naruto said. You don't usually talk to me. Ino stared at him. Her rigid expression gradually softened. In the past, she would have fled in exasperation at this point, but now, being near him didn't feel that unpleasant. She realized that he was attractive up close, handsome even. His reputation had skyrocketed ever since the war, and he had become a sort of idol throughout the village. Being called Naruto-sama by girls was a regular occurrence. She glanced at the counter and saw her friends grinning at her. She felt a headache coming. Nana was spot on about her getting it from a cutie pie village hero, but prank or not, it was still a kiss. A dare is a dare. She nodded and led the way to the small ice cream stall across the street. After they got their ice cream, Ino invited Naruto to a shaded bench on the hospital yard. Ino pointedly sat a meter away from Naruto and at an angle so that she was slightly looking away from him. Naruto seemed not to mind that arrangement. His attention was on the flower bed at the fence. None of them spoke as they licked away at their ice cream. It was a silence long enough to realize with a start that half of her ice cream was already gone. Ino glanced at Naruto and then steeled herself for what she was about to do. She went and stood in front of him. "Stand up," she said. Naruto obeyed with a questioning look on his face. "Kiss me." "Huh, I said kiss me. I don't. Just do it." She squeezed her eyes shut. She smelled her sweet breath and sensed his descending lips. At the last moment, her hand involuntarily moved. She opened her eyes and saw his mouth and nose smudged and his chin dripping with melted strawberry ice cream. He looked at her and what she saw in his eyes burned her with guilt. It was resignation, as if he was not expecting any other outcome. Aoba and Nana waved at Ino from the window. She glowered at them in response. She flicked her head back to Naruto, trying to come up with something to say. "Go on," he said, jerking his head towards the hospital entrance. "Your break's over, I guess." Back to the present, in the canopied bed, Ino bit her pillow. If she could only travel back in time with her memory intact, she would clean his face with kisses, ice cream and all. "Why did I have to be a bitch that day?" she said. Knocks at the door broke her reverie. "Ino, I'm coming in," Sasuke said. "Are you ready?" Horrified, Ino looked at the clock. It was 5 minutes past 6, and she had promised to meet him in the lounge at 5:30. "I'm sorry. 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes." Sasuke went to the closet and took out a pouch from inside. "No, I'll come to fetch you in the lounge after an hour." Seeing Ino acting like that made Sasuke smile. "Naruto, what did you do to her?" he said, shaking his head. Contrary to what he implied, he didn't leave the lounge. He waited the hour quietly in an armchair near the stairs. "Sasuke." Sasuke turned his head up the stairs and felt his heart skip a beat. Ino beamed at him. She had chosen to wear a black velvet spaghetti dress, black velvet open-toed flats, and black velvet scrunchie tied low on her hair that cascaded down her right shoulder. She had only applied light makeup and put on simple white gold earrings and a necklace. Around him, he thought that time stopped. He heard gulps and soft whistles coming from every direction. Pride blossomed in his chest. This beautiful girl was, to the world they were trying to deceive, his wife. "Sorry for the long wait," Ino said. "I'm sufficiently compensated," Sasuke said, looking her over. "You're too late, honey. Your closest friend has already stolen my heart. Should I take it back? When you say it like that, you sound like you're serious." "I could be. Please don't." Sasuke laughed. "Ready?" He held out his hand. Ino took it. "Yes." At the same time, Sakura and Naruto walked hand in hand through the market. Orange lanterns lit the path lined with a diverse variety of food and souvenir stores. They were both in casual attire, shirt, jeans, and sandals. Sakura had suggested the getup. Traditionally, men expected women to wear colorful kimono in fairs, but Sakura knew too well how frustrating it felt in clothing that restricted movement. Looking around, she concluded that the plainness of their attire didn't matter that much. She and Naruto still received a significant amount of attention. When Naruto pulled her closer to show the gawking men that she was his girl, Sakura's joy meter soared. It wasn't like the last time at the flower festival. Sakura could feel a certain level of possessiveness from Naruto right now. She scooted over to his side to reassure him that she was not going anywhere. Even though Mikiba was designed with the nobility in mind, Sakura found it charming that there were places in it that showcased plebeian attractions. And even though Mikiba was usually advertised to be the paradise for couples, she could see children among the crowd. The strict qualifications for visitors also helped to elevate the classiness of the place. Naruto took the lead. He dragged Sakura to stalls that sold delicacies like dango and takoyaki. Sakura observed that he never bought two separate orders. He bought only a single one which he shared with her. In the case of dango, he purchased one skewer and fed her from it. He had never done something intimate like this before. The mission could be one reason, but she dismissed the idea. Naruto couldn't be this natural if he were pretending. One time he peered at her and seemed to notice something on her face. He looked at their entwined hands and then at the stick of cotton candy in his left hand. He passed the cotton candy over to her. She was about to ask what was up when he suddenly wiped the side of her lips with his thumb and nonchalantly sucked on it. She thought she would die in embarrassment. But she was pleased. Very, very pleased. Wanting to catch the moment as it fizzled out, she spun and kissed him. "Good evening to you, honored guests," a young woman said. She handed over a leaflet to them. "After the great fireworks show, we will be holding a dance at the plaza. Please come and join us." Sakura and Naruto exchanged looks and promised the young woman that they would come. "I'm stuffed," Ino said as she leaned back on her arms. She and Sasuke sat on a bench at an empty park that overlooked the lake on the plains below. She stared at the sky. "Am I being rude if I say that I wish I were with Naruto?" "You are," Sasuke said. "I'm sorry. No need to apologize." He took a sip of tea. "I didn't see anything that we need to be anxious about. This place has solid security. There are plainclothes military police mixed in with the crowd. I'd say one guard for every 10 civilians. Did you see that okonomiyaki stall owner? He had a tattoo on the side of his neck. A for Archangels. It was hard to miss. I guess he was showing it off as a warning to those in the know. If the Archangels are keeping peace and order, I don't see any point to continue our mission." "I agree, but we cannot let our guard down. Anything can happen. Speaking of which, don't you want to go somewhere else?" Ino turned to look at Sasuke. "Nah, I'm good." "This girl doesn't think so," Sasuke said, revealing a small toad on his palm. "Aren't you, Gamasaku?" "Indeed, Ne-sama," the small toad said. "Don't you want to see Ne-sama?" "Oh, so you want to take me to him? You can already do a reverse summoning." "Of course not. You still have to walk, but I can guide you to him. I always know where Ne-sama is." "She's cheeky," Ino fondly told Sasuke. "So cute. I'm worried about them," Sasuke said. "I'm sure Sakura was planning to confess to Naruto within today. But Ne-sama loves Ne-sama very much." Gamasaku said. "I can only think of one outcome if Sakura confesses," Sasuke said. "Look for Naruto. I'll try to find Sakura at their inn. I'll convince her to pair up with me. One more thing. As Gamasaku said, Naruto loves you more than anything in this world. If you see him, tell him immediately that there's no us and there's never been." Unlike Naruto, whose eyes were glued to the fireworks display, Sakura was looking down at her feet. She was terrified at what she was about to do. Naruto had explicitly said that he loved Ino. Sakura had been trying to bridge the distance between her and Naruto, but the gap was just too big. All she had accomplished were superficial things like a kiss. She suppressed a sigh and looked at Naruto's profile. Why hadn't she realized that he had feelings for Ino? She had been Naruto's closest friend. How could she miss it? She let out an audible sigh and gathered her courage. Brooding over it wouldn't change anything. She couldn't count on any discernible advantage, and he would probably reject her. But it was her only chance. Even if the pain killed her, she didn't want to feel that she should have done it. She didn't want to look in the mirror and ask why she hadn't at least told him how she felt. She didn't want to be what Naruto would have described as just another friend. "Naruto. Yeah, that time when you saved me from Sasuke, something had already changed in me. I tried to deceive you, remember? I told our friends that I wouldn't allow you to go. I told them that I would take care of everything. Yeah, while I was struggling to come up with a way to convince you, I thought back on what Sai had told me, that you were in love with me. I decided that I could use that. But then something snapped. The next thing I knew, I was in front of you pretending to confess, except that I wasn't really. Sakura trailed off. Confessing. Naruto offered. It was pretty obvious, so. Pretending. Naruto slowly closed his mouth. I thought it had to be a mistake, so I faked it. I wanted you to reject me. I wanted to see Sasuke and confirm my feelings. The moment I saw him, I knew. They were not there. I looked at Sasuke and saw a man but nothing more. I stood there, frozen, asking myself, where did my feelings go? He was there, looming over a wounded girl, with a frigid expression on his face, and all I could think about was, where did my feelings go? Then I pictured your face, and I felt them here. They were not gone. I just mistakenly believed that they were for Sasuke. During the time you were away with Jiraiya-sama, I only thought of Sasuke when I happened to catch sight of our team photo. I would feel my heart flutter each time, not realizing that it was your face that triggered it. I thought that you just reminded me of Sasuke when you were with me. I thought that my excitement when you took me out was nothing special. I didn't even try to consider the possibility because I thought that only Sasuke could make me feel that way. Sakura's eyes welled up. But all along it was you, Naruto. I don't know how. I'm not sure when it started, but I can say I've felt this way about you for a long time. Maybe even since childhood. You were just too close to me that I completely missed it. Naruto, I love you. I maybe am too late now, but this is how I truly feel. Naruto's silence was more deafening than the loud reports of the fireworks. He had never once faced her during her confession. He had just kept on watching the colorful lights in the sky. After a minute or so, she glanced at Naruto. Concluding that he was considering the gentlest way to say no, she moved a step back, and another, until she was out of his reach. She must have misjudged the distance because, when she started to walk away, a hand caught her wrist and then enveloped her fingers. She stayed in place until he was behind her. It may take a long time, he said, but I will try to move on. Will you wait for me? Sakura hugged him with so much force he almost lost his balance. Yes. My feelings for Ino will not fade away that easily. I know. I may often compare you to her. I'm prepared for that. Naruto smiled. Would you dance with me? Nei-sama. Nei-sama. Gamasaku called out to the petrified Ino. The explosions of the fireworks muted Gamasaku's tiny voice. She and Ino were around 15 feet away from Sakura and Naruto. They stood behind a copse of short trees situated away from view. Ino ran in the opposite direction. The suddenness of her movement threw Gamasaku off her shoulder. Irritated and confused, the little toad decided to go home, disappearing into smoke. And while she lost all sense of direction, snaking through the crowd on a rush, thinking of nothing but to get away as far as possible, she realized that she was holding her breath. She heaved for air as she slowed to a halt at the foot of a marble stairway guarded by a red torii. As if possessed by a malevolent spirit wanting to substitute the pain in her heart with physical pain, she threw her shoes away and began climbing the steps barefooted. When she reached the top, her side, lungs, and legs were screaming obscenities. There was an old shrine in front of her. Someone was praying at the altar. Quietly, she snuck at a place behind the shrine that was covered in darkness. She buried her face in her knees and wept. Were she to compare this to all the suffering she had experienced, she could say it was a league on its own. This was her very first real heartbreak.